Did you go to London this time, Ajahn? Or?
Yes, but at that time the house they had was in Haverstock Hill, on the way to Hampstead, and they didn't have Chithurst and they hadn't bought it. When they sold that house, they used the money for that to buy Chithurst.
Very nice forest.
Yes. I've stayed a short while in Iping, which is within 5 miles of that. And it's quite a nice area. Very expensive area too. Very expensive. The land's expensive there. It's the sort of place where people would like to put up a house commuting to London.
But I understand that the owner donated a big piece of land.
The forest, yes.
The forest was donated.
Right. Yes. But I think that is reserved to some extent. You couldn't cut it down without permission. You'd have very difficult to get permission to cut it down. Right, they don't want to. It comes under. I think some of it comes under National Trust. It's protected forest. There isn't much in England now. It's nearly all gone, the forest. There used to be a lot at one time. Long time ago.
And they have some very beautiful oak trees. Old oak trees.
Oh yes, yes.
Very beautiful.
In Carmarthen, there's an old oak tree there, and some woman who was sort of psychic a long time ago, he said, when that tree falls down, Carmarthen will be destroyed. So it's dead long ago, but they've got concrete all the way around it, holding it up.
Where's this in Wales or?
Wales. And the thing will rot away inside, it won't fall down. Funny the way people are. Anyone got any questions? There we go.
You mentioned quite often Sila.
Yeah.
And I think I know the interpretations from the West, what they understand on the Sila.
Yeah.
But I would like to hear the Thai version of it. Or
Sila.
At least the first 5 precepts.
The first 5 precepts are, as they say, they are the ones one takes on oneself, the training, not to kill, steal, either not indulge in wrong sex or keep complete chastity, one or the other, and not to use wrong speech, not to take drinks and drugs. These are rules of training one takes on oneself. And I can remember, to give an idea of the meaning of these, somebody once came to Tanachan and asked, well, doesn't it matter if you just take a little bit of drink? You know, not a lot, that sort of thing. And he said, well, if you're going to take the precepts, you should keep them. If you're not going to keep them, don't take them. That's what he said. And it's correct too, because if you take the precept not to drink, then one shouldn't drink. But if one knows that I'm going to drink, one should not take that precept. Take the first 4, but not that one. Because it's not good to take on something which one intends to do, to make a resolve and then to break it. Because that weakens one's strength of resolve. And the taking on of the precepts and then just breaking them, it's not right there. So if one takes on the precepts, one should have the full intention to keep them. And one should try to keep them. There's no doubt about that. And the precepts are really the definition of a human being, or a human state. Because the 5 precepts are the required minimal behaviour for remaining at the level of a human being. If one goes against those, or goes lower, in some way breaks them, to that extent one's going below the human level. And somebody who breaks them continually all the time is going down and down and down. And this is very bad, because it's easy to go down and very difficult to get up. It's a sort of slippery path. So people should be very careful about them and keep them as rigorously as one can. I mean, as far as taking drinks and things are concerned, people think that taking drinks don't matter. And it's true that the actual taking of a drink to oneself is not thought of as very important, nor it didn't seem to be by the Buddha. But he said the trouble is what you do under the influence of it. When you take a drink, you're no longer in full control of yourself. And because of that, it's bad. You can do things which you shouldn't do at all. But also one can say, if one looks at it from a more modern point of view, if one asks, why does one want to drink? What's the purpose? And if you look, you'll find out that drink is really an anesthetic. So what the person's wanting to do is to anesthetize themselves, at least to some extent. They're wanting to dull themselves so they don't notice the dukkha. And this isn't the right way of doing things, because it's dulling one's mind. And it's going against the way of the path, the way of Buddhism. The mind should be sharp so that one can see things clearly and understand clearly, penetrate clearly into the truth of Buddhism. And if one goes dulling the mind all the time, well, it's going right opposite that. It's not the right thing to do at all. So, on that one, which is a very important one, because many people say, oh, they're ready to keep the other precepts, it's just taking a drink every now and then. They say you have to do that because if you're selling razor blades or something of that sort in the market, then you have to talk to people, and the best place to talk to people is in the pub over a drink, like that. This is the way it goes. And people get caught up there in that sort of thing. For example, the way of newspapermen. I don't know about in Thailand, but in the West, newspapermen, they usually have alcoholic problems. They really do that. This is where they get a lot of their information, in the pub. And they're drinking a lot because of that. And it seems to show up in a lot of the things they write too. It's not a good state at all. But the nature of the sila is rather interesting, because sila, morality generally, it is a relative thing. But it's not relative in the way that they thought of it in the 1960s in America. Right? It's not relative to the individual. It's relative to the human being as a human being. And it is the set of conditions which relate to the human being and which are correct for the human being to practice. To break those precepts is really going against one's own nature. If you take something like a tiger, well, a tiger's got a different set of precepts. I don't suppose bother to take them, but it has in effect got precepts there, because it's got the precepts of its nature. Its nature is that of the tiger. And if it acts within the bounds of what a tiger is, then it keeps to that state. And it's the same with most animals. They call it's the Dhamma of the tiger, or the Dhamma of the human being, or Dhamma of a dog. These are different levels of nature, and different forms of nature. And as the human being is a very high form of nature, one should at least try and keep to this level, if one doesn't go higher even. Because although we get enough dukkha as a human being, the animal gets a lot more. the animal is much more likely to find dukkha, and it gets dukkha in a gross way. The law amongst animals is the law of the jungle. It's violent. It's full of fear and danger. Human beings don't have to be in that state. Because of that, the sila is one of the first things we should attend to. Also in the way of practice. If one's sila is not good, you can be sure that when you do the practice, when you do samadhi or something of that sort, where one's broken the sila, that will come up and cause trouble. The kilesas will bring it up. They'll bring it up as a problem. And this problem, it'll disturb your practice. It'll prevent you getting into samadhi quite easily. So one must be careful to watch the sila, not break it. I mean, with the bhikkhu, if the bhikkhu breaks any of the Vinaya precepts, he has to quickly go and correct it with somebody. Because he knows that if he doesn't do that, when he gets down to his practice, that'll come up and bother him. So he has to get that right first. In addition, it can say that if you go beyond the 5 sila, up to 8 or 10, or further than that, then one's going to the level of the devas, the practice of the devas. It's always said that this is the way of the devas, the higher levels of precepts. I suppose it's the level of the devas in the sense that these are fundamental necessities of that realm. It doesn't necessarily mean that you'll attain the devas by teaching that sila. But it means that if you're doing those things, you have the basic necessities there. You can then sort of gradually put your mind into the right state to get there. Sila is very difficult. Sometimes, when you get problems that are right or wrong, there's no question about it. But then you can get problems where both sides are right and you don't know which one to go, and they're opposites and contrary. There you have to go to other principles to check what to do. In life is not simple, and because of that, one often gets moral problems of what should one do in a particular situation, because you can see 2 or 3 courses of action. You can't say that any of them are actually wrong, and you don't know what's the right thing to do. In this, one has to use wisdom. But this doesn't really come so much under the heading of sila. It's more the use of wisdom, practice of wisdom to see the way through it.
And about this drink, suppose there's some certain amount in the food that they cook.
Certain amount
of drink in the food, like in the Western
alcohol.
cooking, yes.
The Buddha said that if you can't smell it, then it doesn't matter. Can't smell it or taste it.
They just need it now, at least. In ice cream or some dessert.
That was the rule the Buddha gave. You can't smell it or taste it. In medicine sometimes you've got some alcohol. Mm-hmm. But if you can't smell it or taste it, then
Well, in the West, I think it's mostly interpreted as one shouldn't indulge into intoxicating liquors. They don't say one shouldn't do that at all. And I just heard from you one shouldn't drink at all, or take any drug.
The precept says one shouldn't drink.
No, different teachers say different things.
That's why I'm asking.
You should drink it at all too.
Yeah. Because the rule says, I undertake the rule of training to refrain from each one of them. Refrain from taking. And it's a matter of training. It isn't a sort of prohibition in the sense thou shalt not. It's not that sort of thing. But if one takes on oneself that rule of training, one makes the determination or the resolve to keep to that rule. And if one does that, then one should keep it. That's really what it comes to.
What is merai in English?
Right?
Merai. What is it? What's the English word?
I'm not really quite sure. I'll have to look that up. But Surah
cider or something like that. A cider.
Well, it may be fermented, I think. Fermented liquor. Yeah. But I mean, nowadays we just say alcoholic. Covers a lot. But I mean, one also must take it to mean things like drugs nowadays. Because if one looks at the situation, one takes drinks or drugs, you're getting states of altered consciousness, mind altered. And there's not much in this that puts it in any higher level. It's a lower level, it's a more, or it distorts it in some way. And this doesn't help at all. It's not a help on the path at all. And I mean, some of these things you have to be very careful about the effects of them too. LSD can have all sorts of odd effects. And the effects are mostly sensory. You get sensory phenomena. But the amount of sensory phenomena that people can take depends on the person. Some people can't take much and it drives them half mad. Also seems that you can get things coming up a long time afterwards. This is what I've heard anyway. And that you take LSD and then afterwards nothing happens, and then some weeks later suddenly you go into some peculiar state or and it comes from that. So people really should be very careful about this, and they're damaging. And usually people taking drugs like that, they're trying to find a shortcut. And they're trying to get into a certain state by a shortcut. But what they don't realize is that the background of that state can only be correct if there's hard work behind it. One's gone the right way about it. If you do it by the shortcut method, you gain it and you lose it just as quickly. It's not a permanent thing. It's not something that's become part of them. Even if you get to some of these states which we want to attain, if you've done it by the hard way of the practice, then one knows how one's got there. The way that one's done it is orthodox, straightforward. Nobody can complain about it or say or criticize it or say it's wrong. Whereas if one does it by taking drugs and so on, it's all wrong. Hold on.
They often bring, with the non-killing, they often bring this example. Well, if someone would have killed Hitler, they would have saved so many millions of beings being killed in the war. How is that?
All the precepts are personal things. In other words, one takes on the rule of training to do these things. Because of that, if one killed Hitler, one would have that as a debt in oneself. And that's what matters. That's the whole way of it. We're not thinking in vast numbers of people or what's right for society or that sort. It's not that direction. The direction is what's right for me. And it's got to be like that because, in fact, it's the only thing we really know is our own consciousness. We don't know any other. The whole lot really is within oneself. Because it's within oneself, it's in that world that it matters. And what happens out in the world externally is not so much is not important there. And anyway, you don't know whether you would have saved in all those lives. Somebody may have taken Hitler's place, or it's even far worse. You just can't tell. I mean, there were a lot of rather nasty people around him. You just don't know.
It's just the usual kind of
Yes.
thing. Come on.
I think it's also the intention of, if you kill out of greed or hatred, but if you kill, with a heart that, you want to save lives, that might be different. You still probably have the death, but the intention, I think, is the most important thing.
I doubt it. Because the whole situation would be a delusion. It would be a completely deluded situation internally. And in that case, the understanding would be wrong.
Yeah, sure. I don't mean that is not killing. But it's like Angulimala, he killed because he wanted actually to attain to a higher level of state. There is delusion behind it.
Yeah.
But he didn't kill out of greed and hatred. And that's why I think the Buddha said that's why he still could attain arahantship.
He could attain arahantship because he didn't kill his mother.
That's true.
That was right. Because killing people doesn't prevent you attaining arahantship, but it said that killing mother or father does, or an arahant. But it's hardly good company. The thing is that most people, if they take the example of Angulimala, are not likely to have the conditions of Angulimala. So there may be exceptions like that, but they're pretty rare ones.
Killing Hitler like this. Suppose you have the right to do, like you're the police, and it's the right that you have to kill him. Then the karma for the policeman or for the soldier man would be different from.
Well, the thing is that in killing one's got the volition, whatever that volition is at that time. And it's not the right sort of volition to have. It doesn't matter whether one's a policeman or a bandit or whatever it is. It's still the volition to kill. It's true that people take on the duty of a policeman or a soldier or something of that sort. And in that, because they've taken on that duty, they should do that duty. And if they have to kill, they have to. But wherever that comes, will come back on them. And it's not a very high level thing. I mean, the world's like that, and there have to be people like that, and things like that. But the thing is, when we come to teaching the Buddhism, it's like the Buddha said, there are a few with little dust in their eyes. Only a few. We can't expect many people to be like this. The most one can expect is that the general teaching will get out to people and take a little bit of the dust away from them, if not all of it. And that more people will be in the situation to understand and to do things properly. But the general run of people in the world, they're not capable of it. And they go the way they go. They kill sometimes. They're killed sometimes. And it goes on like that. It's been going on for a very long time. It keeps on like that. But for those people who have enough understanding to see the nature of this world and to realize that this isn't a good state and that one should try and get free, for them they should keep the precepts very strictly. And they should not give way on them at all. I mean, again, it's like if a policeman may have to kill in his duty, he shouldn't take the precept of one of his partner. He doesn't know.
But it's not Samma Ajiva, no?
No, it's not Samma. Not really. Samma Ajiva is directly connected with the path. And what is the direction of the path and what isn't. And you can't call it Samma Ajiva. In fact, you can't really call anything that's against the Sila Samma Ajiva.
did Ajahn explain what the fourth precept is, wrong sex? Did he elaborate on that? Or does he sometimes elaborate?
No, although it's elaborated in the third precept.
Oh, third precept.
Third precept. It's elaborated in the suttas to some extent. It says that there should not be any sex between somebody who's underage, somebody who's betrothed to be married, somebody who doesn't want it. What else? I can't remember. But it's more or less like that. But on the other hand, one also has to think in terms of what is the law in a particular country, or what is the socially accepted thing in that country. And one should realise that to go against those things might be a danger to oneself if one's in a country or a society like that. Because of that, one has to adjust this according to circumstances.
But I think what is custom in a country like the United States seems to be quite free in the 60s within the hippie generation.
Yeah.
But that wasn't accepted from the old time.
No, not accepted.
But now.
I just wanted to know that I got it.
Oh, good. They found it.
You must look for it.
That's fine. Yes, they found it. Good.
Yeah, thank
yes.
you.
Yeah. But I should check in Bangkok about the
like you said.
Do you know about the fine arts department? Do you have to get a ticket for these to go out to the country?
I think so.
Yes.
Yeah, and where should I go?
Where do you go? Do you know?
To the museum or somewhere?
No, there's a department section or a guidebook. It's written in there.
Or maybe I should look into my guidebook.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Now you come back.
Yes.
He hasn't.
Yeah,
I know it's written in there.
Yes.
Happy to get it read.
Well, you can say it's yours because if it wasn't right for you, we wouldn't have found it.
Yeah. Okay, so.
They always say if the Buddha Rupa is not right for a person, they lose it.
Okay, so, see you.
Good.
But when we practice the two parts of the body, contemplation and the body, do we have to look at the other four aggregates too?
Or khandas or aggregates?
The aggregate like Vedana and
Oh, the aggregate, the four khandas. No.
Just look at the body.
You take the body as the body. Take it in the way we normally think of it. Because this is not we're not trying to find out what this body is so much, but much more trying to see this body in what we might call truth. See what it is, and realize this isn't me. It isn't mine. This is the important thing. Later on, one can realize that this body is a mental thing. But in doing the practice on the body, one has to take the body in the way we normally do. Otherwise you find it's getting more and more nebulous. And then it doesn't do the work of the practice properly. Because the work of the practice is to see that this thing, it's a loathsome mess of bits and pieces.
I can see sometimes it's irritation, often it's insecurity, which causes the anger somehow to arise. So, in order to work on this, you just stay with that feeling, or you investigate the feeling, or
The thing is to see how the feeling arises.
Yeah.
Also to see how this feeling isn't static, it changes.
Yeah. So then investigate.
Yeah. And to see how when this feeling arises, there's a tendency for thoughts of anger to come about. And then one realizes how the teacher Sampada is true, how feeling is the condition for anger or greed or whatever it is to come up. And to see the link there straight away. And to realize that's very important. Good.
So then the way is to investigate that then.
But when you investigate something like feeling, one should first of all think of it as where is it located? Define it accurately. The definition is very important here. The Buddha always made out that things should be done precisely, in detail, as much as one can. So one should define just exactly where the feeling is, how it's changing, what its nature is, as an experience. You can't describe that to anybody, but you know it in yourself. And what this feeling does, what arises out of it, how it dies away, how it's constantly rising and dying away. The Buddha said that feeling is like when the rain falls and there's a puddle and the rain falls into the puddle like that, bubbles come up and they just rise and die away, pop, 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 like that all the time, it's rising and dying away, like that, that's feeling.
But the pain isn't like that.
Yes, it's like that, the whole thing, it's rising and dying away.
Yes, I know, but quite slowly.
No, it stays. Because yesterday I was watching the water rainfall and the boat bubbles up. Oh, I said, Buddha said, this is the fear. It's come upstairs and it bursts, the next one come upstairs and it bursts.
Bubble of the mud rather blowing you.
But in that it's a lot. I mean, like the rain falling into a puddle. It's as though it's just moving about all on the thing. It's not just one drop and then another. It's all coming down like that all the time. That sutta, it's a very valuable sutta. He gave the similes of the 5 khandhas. He said the body is like a lump of foam in the Ganges. And in fact, sometimes the Ajahn say the body is full of holes. And there's an experience. The body is full of holes. The second one, feeling, is like the bubbles coming on the raindrops. The sanya, which is memory, it's like a mirage seen in the desert. It's like something that's seen there. There's nothing there when you see it. How sankhara, the thought process, is like a banana tree, plantain tree. You can peel it all off like this, finding the hardwood underneath, and there isn't any. And the last one, vijnana, he said, is like a magician at the crossroads, and he's doing all sorts of magic tricks, showing this, showing that, and the whole lot is just all his magic, and there's no substance in it at all. And the five they give him, Sangha Nikaya.
I was feeling at one point, I don't know when, I was getting more and more into that feeling of just seeing myself as these 5 things. And this kind of experience of feeling more and more being in the present, more and more being just kind of thought would arise, I would identify and would let go. But what would happen is I didn't feel happy. I felt this kind of feeling, I don't want to see this, I don't want.
No, the thing is that you won't. The kilesas will come up and cause trouble there because you're cutting away at them. But the happiness doesn't necessarily come up then. But if you do cut those kilesas down and destroy them, then one will see the advantage, the relief of it. It's like you've been carrying a load all the time and some of it you've thrown off. It's then you get the happiness. But the thing is, one has to work to get that.
But the kilesas and seeing that is something different, isn't it?
Well, yeah, well, in one way or another, the kilesas will find a way to sort of try and cause trouble. They usually do.
And what is the kilesa of fear? Because I noticed yesterday evening very clearly, I was sitting down and my mind was going to my breath, it was fine, and then suddenly something came and my mind me.
Yeah.
And it was really, I could see it behind it. It was so my mind was, I felt after a while seeing my mind jumping over. I could cut the anger straight, but that was easy. But the mind was very kind of flipping.
Yeah.
And underneath was this anger, this feeling of fear.
Yeah.
A feeling of fear of any unpleasantness coming in. And
fear is a very important one, and it's one of the kilesas, it's one of the tricks of the kilesas. There's we can say two types of fear. One which is object-based and the other which isn't. In other words, if you're out in the jungle and you see a tiger, fear arises. Now that's pretty obvious what happens there. The tiger is a dangerous one and fear arises because of that. But there's the other type of fear which comes because of changes and processes going on within oneself due to the practice. And that type of fear, there's no special object there. And the fear can come up just as a plain feeling. And when this fear arises, one searches around for something to pin the fear on. But one can't find anything. And then you think, well, what is it? Is it a ghost? Or is it something, a pea or something coming around? And you don't know what it is. In fact, the fear is just a process going on inside you. And the thing to do is to, whenever that comes up, and that's the important one in practice, whenever that comes up, one should think, this is an opportunity to look at fear. Here, now I can find it. And look at it. Just to it there, because that's important. The one thing one must never do is run away. It's the worst thing to do. But get at the fear and realize this is just a trick of the kilesas, nothing else. There's nothing really to be afraid of there. Realize that there's no object, you can't find it. And that this is something that you must get down to and look at well. You search it out well. Okay. Usually you find the fear dies very quickly. One thing the kilesas don't like is being looked at.
I don't know, sometimes I have a feeling my mind is somehow on a kind of very high level of agitation, somehow purposelessness, but somehow expecting something dangerous to come in any second.
Yes.
It feels like it's on a very high kind of awareness of
yeah.
And it's just kind of, and then I think part of that's why the anger flies so high so quickly, is because of that high level of agitation.
Yes. Yes, that high level of agitation is there. One should question also, why is it there? It's there due to come there, of course. But don't worry, the thing is to keep on with the practice. And all those things in the end can help you. Because the thing is, the understanding of Dhamma in its various ways is something we can't suddenly come to. Come to it suddenly, we can't stand it. But at the same time, most people find it very difficult to get into a state where one can understand it. When one's sensitive like that, one can understand fairly easily. So one's got to be careful as to let it come up in the right time and not too much all the time. That's all.
It's like the other day when I was sitting there and there was standing a woman and I was feeling like she hates me. That was also kind of, and she didn't speak English, so it was just kind of interpretation also of me. But it didn't matter, it was at home, I was always afraid of her. God.
Yeah.
And I was looking at her, she was standing there, and suddenly I just saw the skeleton and a piece of flesh around. And the feeling of dislike which I had before just disappeared. There was no liking or disliking.
Yeah.
I think
You can see how effective that is to realize if one sees a person not as we usually think of a person at all, and any hate or anything just disappears. There's nothing you can pin it onto. It's one way of getting rid of it. Very important way too. After all, when we talk about a person, what do we mean? Well, you've got the 5 khandhas there. Which one's the person? Can't really find it at all. I mean, when we think of a person, we think of body usually, but sometimes it's the speech, the sound of their voice. That's quite important. Sometimes it's mannerisms, the way they move. The other times it's the location they live in and things like that. All sorts of things like that. When you come down to what is the person, quite apart from all these, you can't find it. And if you realise that the person there is just like one of these tornadoes whirling round all the time. There's something whirling round there. And there's no entity there. One realises there's nothing there to hate at all. Nothing there to like or to hate. It's just as it is. The truth that's behind that, though, the Chitdom, the original Chitta, that's a different matter. But then that's not the person. That's something quite beyond all that. And there's nothing you can pin onto it at all. You can't say it's this or say it's that. You can't say it's any of the khandhas. It's something quite different.
But it's probably the king or the one who is responsible of that 5 khandhas.
The Chitdom, not really. It's the Kilesa Chitta, it's responsible for the 5 khandhas.
Yeah. Although, you mean that it's Chitdom, you mean it's the Chitta without Kilesa?
Yes, it's that that's underneath all the time. Yes. And that's the realm of Nibbana. It's always there. Can't suddenly arise. If it could arise, it could cease.
It seems to me that your Chitdom is pure Chit.
Yes, pure Chit.
I mean, Avijja proof already.
Yeah.
Whereas, when I read Ajahn Man's book, when he talked about Thiti Chit, or Chitdom, it just means that it's the origin of the Chit, but which can be termed as Avijja, but only it's just like when you have a samadhi.
Yes.
Avijja is still there,
Yeah.
but it doesn't show up. That's all. So when you it's what I understand your Chitdom.
Yeah.
It's a small basic
Well, that's the way I used it anyway.
Yeah.
I'm not quite sure how Ajahn Man used it. He used it as the Chitta with Avijja.
Avijja, Chitta Avijja. แต่จิตเดิมท่านไม่ได้ใช้ท่านจะใช้ความบริสุทธิ์เลยไม่มีจิตเลยนะ
The thing is, in the ultimate analysis, you can say that Avijja, the 5 khandhas, the whole lot, they're all like clouds. There's no substance in any of them. But the thing is that we can't take it like that because we've still got the Avijja there. Because we've still got the Avijja there, we have to think in the ways of Avijja, in the ways of ignorance. But it's this Avijja, I feel there's something distorted, something twisted inside. But as far as I can see, if that straightens out, the whole lot was too old.
when we are in concentration and you see some moving things like the citta is moving, citta and this vijnana, are they the same thing?
Vijnana is a name to the chitta. Vijnana is really a function, not a thing. It's a function of the chitta. When the chitta functions as vijnana, it receives sensation.
Yeah, because in concentration you see it moving. So when I saw that, I thought, oh, if I die, this vijnana will leave the body. This is what it's going to go out of the body.
No, because it's the one who's thinking that and knowing that it's the chitta.
Not the one that we say.
If it's something you see going up, then that's an object. It's not just chitta as well.
Oh, the knower is the chitta.
One who knows.
Oh, that's what many Thai call it, Thai teaching.
Yes. But I mean, the chitta is Pura Proof. One who knows and receives sensation. But it's not the sensation. Sensation is what it knows.
It's not the sensation, it's things that moving like...
The thing is, though, if there's something moving there must be the knowing of that.
Yes.
And there's a division between the one that knows that and the thing that's moving.
Let's see, yes.
And the one that knows that, that's the chitta, or the vijnana.
And I find that before it's coming out of concentration, I feel like the body is being pushed out, and then the sensation just comes.
Yes. These
are the knower is behind it.
Yes. These are individual sensations of samadhi come about. They can vary enormously. They're individual things. So it's very, very hard to give any explanation of why it should be like that. But that's fast one don't come there.
ไม่เห็นค่ะจิตโลกโผล่จิตโลกโผล่อาจารย์ฮะis there any difference between citta and patissanthi vinyana? Is that patissanthi vinyana that some people call it gaitip, something like that?
No, patissanthi vinyana is a very special term which is used for usually translated rebirth linking consciousness. It's that consciousness which goes to the bhava, the next place of existence. That's before birth, but no conception of order. That's the grasping of birth. That's the patisandhi vijnana, and that's the only time it's used. Because patisandhi means linking back, linking across. Sandhi is making a link. It's a link in Pali. You know the sandhi in the language, how they link one word to the next. So it's the same thing as patisandhi vijnana. The vijnana that links. It's it's hard to say, but it's that comes up is what they call a karma nimitta, or you get a nimitta coming up from karma. At the time of death, and that presents the situation that one can be reborn in. Something from the past.
And suppose one's mindful enough, what will happen?
If you're mindful at that time, you remember your past life. You remember the life you've had before. Mindfulness is necessary. And mindfulness there would certainly give one a good human birth. It may lead one higher. To be mindful. I mean, the thing is, I suppose one can say that the more rapidly being grasps at birth, the lower it tends to be. Where there's a restraint and a holding back, then it's probably much better. There's more, go to higher, something higher. Mindfulness would help to restrain. But this is a realm which is difficult to see today. Not easy at all.
And there is some people who can see guide-tips of people and also for themselves. Like for a good monk, she would see that it's a monk. The guide-tips also a monk too. But it's not a good monk. Maybe outside it looks he's a monk, but the guide-tip is just a man like that.
Okay.
Also with the Meshi with some lay people, but inside I think she keeps her precepts well, and this woman will see her as a nun.
Yeah. This is something that comes from within the person who can do that. Some people can see things. So some people see things like that. Other people feel them. Other people recognize things without actually seeing anything more than the person. It's one of the sort of psychic characteristic of knowing the chittas of other people. So how will they know it? It's different in different people. Some people just see an aura of lights in different colours.
Oh, it's just a vision.
Yeah. These things depend on the person and the characteristics of that person and what they will see.
And this woman who told me about this thing, she said because there's something happened that her guide was destroyed.
I just think it's...
So she said, and I asked her, what about your chitta? You probably must have your chitta still within you. And she said, but it's not as the main one like that. So I doubt it's that one. What kind of vision?
It's relationship not joined. Relations deceiving.
They're destroyed by a spirit.
These things very people should be very careful about them, because nearly all these psychic things, okay, they exist, but in the ordinary person they can so easily get involved with kilesas. They can turn into just a field of delusion and nothing else. I mean, if a person's got the power of knowing something, knowing the future, okay, well, sometimes it may be genuine. If they're just completely uninterested, it's probably genuine. So if there's the slightest bit of interest in that, kilesas are likely to get in and make it all wrong. This is the trouble with people who can foretell things and see at a distance. You never know when they're speaking the truth or not. I mean, they don't know themselves. Because of that, it's only the Arahants who's reliable in that. No one else.
So I just argue with her that so long as you can practice, you can meditate, and you know you're one who knows.
Yeah.
That should be your chitta.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Yes, well, it probably wouldn't make much sense.
I think that it's should be the main chitta. She said chitta there are many chittas.
In a sense that's true, because when you can say that there are the characteristics of the chitta, there are many chittas, there are kusala chittas, akusala chittas, abhyakata chitta, all that's good.
In fact, it's a cetasik, right?
Well, it depends on geographical. There's how many is it now? 89 types. I can't remember that.
So it's in the Abhikam.
Yes, the field of the chitta is a very difficult realm to get into. A very important realm. It's difficult to get into. You can understand. And one really needs a guide. There are very few guides. Very few.
But am I correct? Am I right to believe that if I can still touch my one who knows, you don't know where it's inside. I'm safe from everything. I mean, from the other things outside. That's what I told her. And you told me too, I mean, you advised it's the best solution for that, for those who feel spirited. You said that just try to calm down and be with your own citta and keep it pure.
Yeah, the thing is to, anything of that sort, just to do the bhavana, do the practice, develop a bit of calm. Mm-hmm. Develop a bit of calm, things will sort themselves out. Mm-hmm. True. I mean, when a person gets like that, they're thinking all the time, trying to work it out. They have all sorts of phenomena occurring within them, and they don't know what's happening. They can't work it out because they haven't got the ability. If they had the ability, they would have worked it out anyway. But they haven't got the ability to do it, and because of that, their thoughts are wild. And the only thing they can do is learn to stop thinking like that. Stop thinking and to cut the thought. Now the best way of doing that is with bhavana. But most of the trouble comes from thinking. We thinking wrong ways. We hold on to wrong ideas, and then we speak or act according to these ideas. We all build up karma. We get habits. It's a bad habit very often. And then we can't get out of it. We tie ourselves into a knot very easily.
But on the contrary, this woman who said that her diet was destroyed, she said that once that she tried to meditate, that's why she does not want to meditate. Once she wants to start meditating, her mind comes into focus, and then her guided would just breathe outside herself and was taken by the spirit. So she said, but if she keeps herself busy with working things like that and moving all the time, it's okay. But once that she starts something, even just starting to be mindful, to read, to concentrate on anything, then she could feel her breath.
Very definitely. Yes, I mean, she doesn't know what's what. Yeah. I mean, if that's what's happening, what she thinks of is the one that's concentrating, the one that will be taken away. That's all connected with kilesa. No, this view of things happening like that, it's nearly all delusion. Really.
It's just that.
A lot of kilesas coming up, suggesting things. And everybody really wants something to boost their own image. To themselves, that is. Not to other people necessarily, but even to themselves. So they want to feel they're getting on, or feel that they're doing something. And it can even come to the extent that people inside the kilesas create something, just so that they can feel themselves.